Okay, it's Bob Frizzell for the reality game, and people are really trying to figure it all out. And how are you going to figure it all out? The answer is no one figures it out. That is what my friend Rumpelstiltskin told me a long time ago. No one figures it out. All the same, we're still trying to at least give ourselves a framework for what the heck's going on. And okay, so I'm going to give you this one. The Divine Matrix by Greg Braden. And what do I want to tell you about that? Basically, if you can think of the Matrix movie, it was very like, no one really wants to live in that version of the Matrix. But in Greg Braden's version of the Matrix, we can have a wonderful time. So, where are we going with all this information? As always, I always say, look within. It was an old saying from maybe ancient Greece, look within, and sip happens. People want to know if there is one story that puts everything together. Dr. David R. Hawkins of Consciousness Research said it's all up to your karmic propensities as to what you experience and what story you get. Your karmic propensities. What are karmic propensities? Things you've done in this life and things that you've done in past lives, along with collective karmas that you have as perhaps a male or a female, or what country you live in, because countries have collective karmas. Perhaps what planet you have lived on, because not everyone on the planet has always been on the planet. Some souls have been on other planets, and you picked up karmas here, there, and everywhere. So you, as an individual, have got your own individual karmic propensities for this, that, or the next thing to happen. So does that mean, yes, it means your experience of reality is probably going to be different than everyone else's in some way. Minor ways or major ways? Someone who takes LSD and someone who never took anything, not even smoked any marijuana, um, those two people are going to have um, very different experiences in their book of life. The way those two people see reality is going to be so different that, um, well, especially the person that never took LSD is never going to understand anything other than, oh, it's just a drug you take to have hallucinations. So, how are you going to figure out what's real and what's for sale? Some people say you create your own reality by watching what's going on in your body and silencing your mind. Some people say it really depends on, I don't know, I can go on and on. We don't have one reality for everyone to belong to. Or do we? You can philosophize about this subject forever. What do you need to know about right now on planet Earth? The biggest thing that's going on is, as Donald Trump said, the Great Awakening. And I think the Great Awakening means different things to different people. To people who live on a rural farm somewhere and they don't have TV and they don't have cards, let's say old order Mennonites or old order Hutterites, or perhaps some tribe of people that live on an island somewhere where foreigners never come and they live, primitive jungle life. These people are not going to experience a great awakening the same way that modern people are, who are plugged into television and the internet and newspapers and other people in a modern city who like to gossip and billboards. So if you're completely isolated, yes, you're going to have a different experience of reality. But for the rest of us, the Great Awakening does mean different things to different people. To Donald Trump supporters, the Great Awakening is mostly, let's get all the dirt we can on Hillary Clinton and open everybody's eyes to, what the hell she's been up to. But to people who have moved beyond the belonging to like a school of thoughts, like some people would say, if you are watching CNN 24 hours a day and you're a politics junkie and that's all you do, then that's all you're going to see. But people who pull themselves away as much as they can from mainstream media and endless gossiping among humans and spend a lot of time as an introvert. You probably heard the word introvert or extrovert. An introvert is someone who spends a lot of time by themselves, pretty much in their own head, whereas an extrovert can't stand to sit still and they're basically always looking for other people. They can't stand not being with other people. But an introvert spending so much time by themselves, a great awakening for them is a really strong development of intuition and very strange things that happen, like deja vus or synchronicities, which is another word for very weird coincidences. So, for the people who are having deja vu and synchronicities, the Great Awakening is what happened to them. So they started seeing these incredible deja vus and synchronicities. That is called an awakening, which is very different than the people who watch CNN 24 hours a day and the Great Awakening simply being the dirt on Hillary Clinton. Same thing with the QAnon people. The QAnon people are basically the same ones as the ones that watch CNN all the time, but they're a little bit more into conspiracy theories. All the same, they're pretty much, they are not what is known as awake. They didn't have a spiritual awakening. So the Great Awakening from a spiritual perspective is getting your psychic skills, your intuition coming online, and then seeing the world as very different than someone who watches TV 24 hours a day. Is it a great awakening for the planet on a spiritual basis, or just looking into Hillary Clinton's dirty laundry?
Are you reading now?
No,
No?
no, I'm not eating now. So, what else can I tell you? Um, what do you want to happen to you? Do you want things to stay basically, the politicians and the rich people basically decide what's going to happen on the planet and therefore for me? Or do you want to participate more in life? Do you want to have your own reality? It's up to you. If you want to have a spiritual awakening, you basically have got to intend to have it. And you're going to have to make room for it, which means you're going to have to make room for it in your life every day. In other words, you're going to have to let things go that take up a lot of your time so you can spend more time alone with you. In the end, it's always your choice. But if you are going to spend time alone with you, somebody might say, do I need to drop acid? No, you don't need to take psychedelic drugs. Although, if you do, it's a shortcut to seeing that I definitely can have the weirdest hallucinations I never would have thought possible. Do you get a spiritual awakening from doing LSD every day? Um, there are stories that people have done it this way. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it because it's like getting hit by a Mack truck. It's too much, too fast, too soon. But some people are going to do it that way anyway. Well, the stories are there. They've done it. I'm not going to recommend it. I'm going to recommend you do it nice and easy. Because it's a lot easier on you. And the way to do it is to spend time meditating, time perhaps going for a walk by yourself or maybe just with your dog, not another human, because other humans are going to want to gab, and talking together usually gets you back to like news. And we don't want you to be talking about the news when you're meditating. It's irrelevant. So if you're walking with you and your dog, that's good, or you by yourself. Or if you go to your bedroom, close the door and maybe sit on the floor, or, sit on your bed, or maybe even lie down on your bed and spend maybe an hour in the morning and an hour at night. So you're going to have to find 2 hours a day. And how long is it going to take? In the olden days, it would have taken you maybe a lifetime because the consciousness level on the planet was extremely low and it was very hard to break through the collective consciousness. But today, because so many people are on a spiritual path doing meditations, the collective consciousness of the planet has risen significantly from the older days, which means it's a lot easier for you to have a spiritual awakening than it would have been in 1625. I still can't tell you how long it is before you're going to start seeing synchronicities and start having deja vus and maybe getting spirit guides, which is also it's also called clairaudience, when you start hearing things. And then you have to be able to deal with the fact you're hearing things, which, the average person is trained to believe is psychosis or schizophrenia. But if you look into the literature of shamanic cultures, it's perfectly normal for people to be in touch with ESP. You might look up the website of the Institute of Noetic Sciences if you want more of a scientific viewpoint, and then you won't think I'm animal crackers. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe and share this with anyone you think would like it, and then share it with some people who are not going to like it, because it's really good to rattle people's cage. I am famous for shit disturbing. Thank you. I'm Bob Frizzell for The Reality Game.